Animating handwriting shouldn't be that hard, right? So I recently wrote a tool to make this as easy as possible. Check it out. It's completely free, works on the browser, works on your phone, works on your iPad, even with pen pressure. And it's so easy to use, anyone can just pick it up and start using it immediately. So let's get started. First of all, you have to go to doodly.justgosha.com to access the app, completely free. Here I'm on my iPad to also demonstrate to you that it supports pencil input as well as hand input. And here I already created an animation, but we can completely start from scratch. So let's pause this. I want to preserve this animation, so let's actually start in a new tab. So we go to doodly.justgosha.com and we find the app like this. And then we can use our Google Pencil to start drawing. And we can draw whatever we want. And you see already, it has pencil pressure support. So if I press only lightly, it's a thin line. If I press hardly, it's a thicker line. And afterwards, you can set or change the brush size right here. And as you see, it works even at its the brush strokes that you've already drawn. And in the future, that might be something that you can individually set brush strokes. Right now, it globally controls all the strokes you already did. And then you can replay the things you wrote and put it in loop, so it replays over and over again the things that you've drawn. You can change the color of your brush strokes also after the fact that you've drawn it. So there's a few colors to select from right now. There will be at some point color selection, but for now I kept it simple. You can always export the animation and change the color in After Effects, for example, or whatever software you're using. It should be pretty simple. Then here you see the timeline. You can basically what's it called swipe through the timeline exactly to the point where you want to go. Let's clear this and do something more complicated, or not that more. Let's draw something. Let's say want to draw a cloud, right? And then when we replay it, we have the cloud here. But let's say we actually want to add something to the drawing right here, and we want to add maybe a thunderbolt. So we can start drawing here, and it continued the drawing right at the same spot that you were drawing it here. So it's kind of like a timeline, and you can, while you're playing an animation, you can start drawing at any time, and it will also capture that animation. So for example, now I can draw here some rain as well. And here. And then when I replay it, all of these things start happening at the same time. You can also set the playback speed. This doesn't that doesn't affect the export, but it affects how it replays here. So you can preview something at a much slower replay rate or at a much faster replay rate that it happens almost instantly. Okay. When you now continue drawing and you keep adding and adding and adding lines, you can see here it is counting your strokes. At some point, if you have lots of really long strokes and you keep adding them at the same time, what will happen is, after some, depending on your device, it might take longer. Things could get slower. So at the moment, it's not 100% optimized to draw thousands of strokes, but for normal hand-drawn handwriting animation, it should always be enough. It might not be enough if you try something really complex with thousands of lines. Maybe when you do especially like some some shading like that, then at some point it might actually get slow. Then you will notice that it plays back maybe a little bit more choppy. Yes. So then if you press record, also it starts playing and is recording, and you can also continue drawing. But every time after you stop, you notice it continues playing for a little bit and then stops. So it always stops. You can change the time when it stops in the settings, and this is one of the only settings at the moment. There's this setting called stop recording immediately after stroke. If you do that, then there's basically no pause between strokes. So let me clear this and show it here. Let's say I draw a circle here, and then I draw an X here. And if you replay this, you see that after this stroke finishes, this one starts immediately. Yeah. And with the other setting, if you turn this off, then the recording timeout is 1 second, so it continues recording for another second before it stops. So there will be also, after every stroke, there will be the natural breaks that you have when you do handwriting. And sometimes that's something you want, and sometimes maybe it's something you don't want. So if you turn this off, you can set how long it should continue recording after you finish the stroke. And if you put a really high number here, like, I don't know, 20, then it will continue for 20 seconds recording, so it basically doesn't stop. So you can draw something much more complex, and it will continue recording. Yeah. But you can stop it manually always here. And it's especially helpful if, let's say, you already have an animation recorded here and you want to watch it and wait for the exact moment when you want to jump back into it. Let's make it slower again. Then it might be helpful to, let's say, we want to add something to this animation, and now I want to add here an eye, but I want it to continue afterwards. So that might be helpful. Okay. And then I'll add here close or something. Yay. Next thing, so one of the most important features that makes this actually a viable tool for your professional animations, you can export the animations from this tool and use it in any other app like Davinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and you just simply press on the export button, and then you can export in different formats like PNG sequence, MP4 video, and the PNG sequence has transparency. So if you turn on transparent background, it will give it back, export it for you with transparency. So this is nice when you just want the text, and behind the text something is supposed to be happening. You just export it with transparency. And then you can select to export it at different frame rates. You can even set a custom frame rate. Let's say I want to export it at 60 frames per second. I can also select which resolution. let's say I want it in 4K, select 4K, and then I press export, and then it will start rendering everything we just exported. And it might take a while, especially for 4K, because what's happening, it has to take basically a screenshot of the canvas for 800 times. So depending on the resolution, this might take longer. It will also export it as a zip file. So you have all the PNG files in one zip file. It can be fairly large. So this 800 frame drawing has probably, I don't know how big it actually is, but it should be quite some megabytes. So yeah, 174.6 megabytes. But if you export it as MP4, let's say also 4K, then, wow, rendering so many frames. Why is it more now than before? Interesting. But this should create a much smaller file size now, because MP4 is a video format, so it's more efficient, whereas PNGs, so every single frame is basically exported in a zip file, so it's tons of individual images, which results in a bigger file size. Let's actually cancel this and export it in 720p, 24 fps, so it's much faster. Then, yeah, everything renders faster. Let's see that. So then I can also play it back to you to show, hey, it actually exported. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Download it. And yeah, and now we have the animation here in 24 frames per second. That's why it's not as smooth as if I would have done 60 frames per second. So if you want the smoothest animation, choose 60, or you can even enter your own frame rate, export it at 120 or whatever. That way you can better control the timing of your animation in your post-processing program. All right. And yeah, and that way, oh, by the way, let's clear this again. You can also use your finger to draw, and that's especially important because you can use the mouse on your PC or on your Mac. You can actually use it on your phone as well, which also makes sense to use the finger. But yeah, it has at the moment obviously no pressure sensitivity. In the future, I might implement at least like tapering, that the lines get thinner when they start and end. So it has more dynamics than just right now, where the thickness is always the same. Wait, let's turn this off again. Yeah, but yeah, so I hope you have fun playing around with this, doing your handwritten animations with this, and maybe even do more fun stuff, because you can use this to draw whatever you like in the end. And handwriting is maybe just the start, right? Maybe you want to do something much more complex than just handwriting. And it has never been easier to do things like this than with this, I think. If you know any apps that are doing it better, show me, but I've written that and I'm a bit proud, and I'd like to continue working on it, especially if there's demand, if there's support. No plan to monetize it at this moment. I plan to release it in app versions for Android and iPad, so you can use it offline at any time. And this might be paid versions, but I plan to keep the online version in its basic form always free. And if you want to support me with that, I will probably add links here too, so you can support this project to keep it running. Yeah, thanks for your attention and hope you'll try it out.